welcome again once more to Consciousness Rising Zimbabwe and beyond. And as you know probably by now, this is a place where we interview and have a interesting conversation and soulful conversation with people who are making a difference in their communities. And today I'm really excited to have here Lewis Mbela Badiango. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Antonella, for having me.
Yes. Lewis, as you can see from the outfit, do you call it in the Gabon tradition shaman, or what would you call yourself, a healer? What would you call?
I'm a healer, and soon to be training as a shaman.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Much more than that. That's a path for life and beyond, and most probably comes from many lives before that. So, Luis is a traditionally trained Iboga provider, and they call Iboga is going to tell us everything about that, and it's been initiated and trained in Gabon by a 10th generation, and I went to look for it, and 10th generation is 250 years, just to give you the importance in the sense of the weight of the tradition. So it's been trained by a 10th generation Bwiti Shaman in Gabon, and his name is Moughenda Mikala. And as well, I mean, in a more Western way, you are an accredited recovery coach.
That's
correct?
Yeah.
So thank you. I'm so happy to have you here.
Finally,
yes,
on Africa Day.
We try to do these interviews so many times, and then on Africa Day, so Gabon, Zimbabwe, and all Africa, we are making it. So let's start maybe from your experience. What brought? We didn't say what Iboga is, but I leave it to him to
Thank
tell
you.
all about us. I mean, about it.
Definitely. Thank you, viewers, for joining Antonella's wonderful platform. I'm honored to be here. Iboga is a plant medicine that has been in the Bwiti tradition of Gabon for many thousands of years. It has been used for physical healing, spiritual healing, and also just detoxing the mind. And these are the three main areas that we as humans find struggles with. And the medicine is found at the very deepest part along the equator on the western coast between Gabon and northern Congo Brazzaville, all in the jungle. But the true custodians of the Iboga medicine are the pygmies, who are mostly found in the southern of Gabon.
Okay. And I read that it comes from a shrub, and it's the bark or the roots.
That's correct. So the Iboga tree, it is a very short shrub with some fruit on it, and the medicine comes from the root bark.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. As you see, we are here with the shaman and animals and plants. So, okay, she wants to be in the interview, we leave her. Okay. Luis, I read another thing which touched me profoundly. You say that this plant medicine actually embodies, and they don't use the word embodies lightly, embodies the masculine and feminine principle that they come together within us, correct?
Correct.
So what...
All right, just to expand on what you just said, Iboga medicine is the only plant medicine in the world that has two spirits. Plants and animals have spirits, we have souls.
Oh, okay.
Now, the Iboga medicine carries a male spirit and a female spirit. Together they bring a balance. And in the root bark itself, there is a male and a female. So as the medicine does its scanning, does its healing, it's not just focusing on one side that we feel is strong, but it speaks about both sides that are strong to bring a balance. So some of us have an imbalance.
Yeah.
Now the medicine does a wonderful job at doing that balance through its healing. Other medicines have one spirit, female or male.
Can you name them?
Ayahuasca, female spirit.
Okay.
The bufo has its own spirit, more masculine. And each spirit, each plant medicine has its own intention. So we all have to understand, what are we looking for? Do you want physical healing, spiritual healing, or do we just want spiritual discovery? So understanding the intention of each medicine helps you understand, what are you going to use it to heal from. Now Iboga Medicine takes you through your physical healing into your spiritual healing and a spiritual discovery.
360-degree circle. Really,
I guess that's the blessing
covering
that we have in this medicine.
and it
our
comes
humble
from
self.
Africa.
And it's an African medicine.
Yeah.
We do not take anything from it. We don't add anything. It comes perfect as is. We serve it as a powder that is crushed, grounded from the root bark. And all our ceremonies that we hold are kept in the way the tradition of Bwiti have set it. It is perfect as is. And the medicine works very well with other tools and plants.
Okay. So, what is that? I mean, how did you end up? What were you doing before?
So I've been on quite a journey,
I'm sure you have.
and I think I really did not plan or think I would be sitting here with you discussing about, plant medicine and Iboga some 5 years ago. But I come from a very painful 17 years of addiction myself, and reached a rock bottom. It was very painful, and I screamed for help, and help came immediately. I went into recovery, and I've stayed there for quite a long time. But I then started to connect with myself deeply. I had things that were clouding, but as I went and did my own healing, I started to connect with me on a much deeper level.
And at that time, you were in South Africa, correct?
I was in South Africa, but a bit back and forth. And in South Africa, that's where I had my first experience with Iboga. And that set me on to be very curious.
Because it worked for you, I'm sure.
Because it worked for me. The medicine was also helpful just to cure the urge that I had for alcohol.
Okay. Well, that's big. That's really
I
big.
needed that. I needed that.
Mm.
So I then, did my research. I wanted to find out where's the source of this medicine and who are the custodians, what tradition does it come from. And I'd like to believe my ancestors led me to Moughenda's ancestors.
Right.
And we had a virtual relationship for about a year. And I asked him if I could go over there and train. And he just said yes. And had to make arrangements. Flew to Gabon and stayed in the jungle for a couple of months.
Okay.
And
that
learned,
in itself would be another interview, I'm sure.
yes.
Wow. Okay, so it feels to me like once you have done the experience, there's been this. I like when you say my ancestors brought me to the ancestors of Moughenda, and therefore make us meet. Just tell me a bit more how it would work in the African context, or well, I don't know if to call it religion, beliefs, or how does it work?
In an African context, if I can put it very simply, there's a conversation that is had between those that move with us that we don't see, who are ancestors. And sometimes we credit ourselves, thinking, no, I built this, or I did this. but they're owners of a specific land. They're owners of specific minerals. And for those that understand how to communicate with ancestors and ask for these blessings, gifts, minerals, whatever it might be. Now, I asked to go to Gabon. I remember very vividly that deep down in me, I asked to go there. And I wanted to learn about the medicine. Because I knew my people also needed healing, a very deep healing.
Yes.
So we are currently facing a pandemic of crystal meth in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And at the root of that, it is healing that is needed. At the root of...
Yeah, the pain is so big that there is no other way for people to cope than just trying with crystal meth that brings another set of course, problems, issue. Yes. Yeah.
Very much. So that was my desire to go. But there was an elevation on my end where I got closer to my forefathers, and I could feel there was a very different energy around me that was carving and making way for certain steps to happen by the edge.
Because you were not doing it alone?
Because I was not doing it alone, but at that moment, I mean, I really felt I was being carried through battles, through whatever space. I really felt when I got to the village in Gabon, I felt like I went through a veil. I mean, I flew there, but spiritually, it's like I got to the other side. Because it is very spiritual ground there.
Okay. Can you tell us, Luis, a bit more about the Bwiti tradition? Okay, you arrived to Gabon, you pierced or passed through the veil, and you got into this tradition of which you didn't know much, or maybe a few things that will be common with your Shona tradition. I mean, many things are in common, I'm sure. But what was your experience there?
Well, my experience was, I mean, I left a little bit anxious. I'd never been there. And I'm going to meet and spend months with a man I don't even know for that long.
Jump.
Yeah.
A leap of faith.
A leap of faith.
Yes.
But as I arrived there, the one thing that still hit me so hard was what energy came out of that jungle.
Okay.
It was such an intense energy, very grounding, and I remember immediately taking off my shoes and socks.
Oh.
I wanted to just put my feet there, and it pretty much just captured any, whatever trauma I was carrying, whatever frustrations, anger, any underlying things. The energy from that jungle was enormous. It just made me dwarf. Yeah. And it was a powerful experience. Everyone was friendly, happy, and it's a happy and a friendly. I could see there was something different, but I also knew it was connected with the plants and the jungle and their spirituality, which I later discovered is one of the most beautiful things I've ever had to witness, because the following day was the welcome ceremony.
Right.
Very colorful.
And there was a group of people, it was you alone? How would that work in the specific?
Also, we are a group of those that were in training, and obviously some were there for their healing, and predominantly from the West and other parts of Europe. And I was the first and the only to come from Africa to train with Moughenda.
Okay.
And it was quite an experience just being introduced into this culture. into this tradition, which is very colorful. The women are strong, the men are strong, everyone is spiritually connected. And I could also see how we have lost a lot of our African spirituality
Yes.
and tradition.
Yes.
So to see the Bwiti live it every day, they won't wait for a funeral to practice a ritual. They won't wait for someone maybe, to give birth to practice a ritual. It's an everyday thing because they believe that plants, animals, nature are also part of us and we are part of nature. So
We are nature.
we are nature,
Ah.
but we don't live and
No.
exist as nature.
No. Make us forget our mind.
That's correct.
Yes. Make us forget.
And just going through the very basic things. There are no times, there are no schedules. Classes, ceremonies happen when spirit wants to happen. And there's just a flow.
So there is a dimension of time, of course, which is not linear at all. Or there is.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because time is controlling.
Okay. Yeah, well, for Westerners is, I know it, but to live it, it's a different story when for most people you have to go to the office at 8 o'clock or whatever and be in the mold of, that comes from Industrial Revolution then in the end. So Luis, tell us a bit more about the journey. I mean, you went there, you spent 2 months, you had both ceremonial time and different type of times when you were living there with them for 2 months. Share, what would you like us to know?
Well, I think from my experience, and I've shared this with those that are close to me, that it's such a powerful thing for yourself to do things that are so different, to be open-minded, and to try a new route. And life is not as rigid and, one shape as we think. You can literally wake up tomorrow and just be anything you want to be. And I didn't have much resources to even think I could afford to go there.
Yeah.
But wanting it so bad, wanting something so bad, can really get you somewhere far. My experience was mind-blowing because what I expected things to look like when I got there, I was catapulted into limitless. The energy was heavily overwhelming. And the opening ceremony for me was colorful. I'd never seen anything like it. The musical instruments, the ngombe, which is their harp, it's such a beautiful spiritual instrument. The way they play the drums and the mugongo, it is just a powerful spiritual rhythm. And seeing them how they perfectly run their ceremony the whole night with no interruption, with no mistakes, because they do it every day.
Okay.
They don't believe in writing anything down because they practice to a place of knowing.
Yeah.
And Bwiti means the art of knowing.
Oh, okay.
Bwiti is mastering life. And they believe that many of us will go and spend years starting to be an engineer,
Yes.
a medical doctor,
Yeah.
but we don't take time to study ourselves.
Which nobody gives us the instruction for use anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was one of the teachings that I picked up, and I knew I was in the right place. I don't speak French. Everyone's French speaking. Moughenda speaks English.
Okay.
But I found myself drawn to the other healers as well because he works with many other healers. and they were able to guide me. And I didn't quite understand, how do they know what I'm thinking or what I'm saying? But they just knew.
Okay.
They spent time studying the human.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And therefore, I mean, you connect with all senses and the extra senses.
definitely,
Okay.
definitely.
Mm.
But I think it was just in a way I'd never experienced it.
Yes.
Having my first taste of the Gabonese Iboga medicine, oh my God. It was very intense, strong, and I spent 2 weeks going through my own personal healing before I started to train. That's the rule. You
Makes
heal
sense.
first, and then you start learning about the medicine.
Okay.
So we call it going down. I went down a couple of times, and I had traumas for over 20 years that I carried. And
So enough time.
I left them in the jungle. There was so much healing that happened in me over those 2 weeks. I cannot believe I carried it for so long. I never made a choice, a decision to let go.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand that there are certain things that you can hold on to. And even though you think you've let it go, but you've just stashed it in some vault in your mind.
Yeah.
And this is why we are so a damaged human race.
Yes. And I mean the fact that plant medicine all over the world is coming so strongly all at once, between mushrooms, anything and everything. It's just an indication that humanity wants to raise at a different level.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I think plant medicine is a massive gift from our Creator,
Absolutely.
because it heals a lot of things that we're struggling with.
Yes. Like I mean, for the Iboga specifically, what what does it help with?
Okay, Iboga helps with anxiety, depression, PTSD, and other physical ailments that your body would have. The medicine will start a healing process, and the mind detox.
Where it all starts.
The medicine understands that 99.99% of our problems are happening here, and what we perceive as true and yet is not true.
Okay.
Iboga's intention is truth. The medicine will bring the truth to the surface, cannot hide anything from it. The medicine will show you the truth of certain things that happened in your life and you thought this is what happened. But the medicine will take you and show you the truth.
Right.
That your parent was not, intentionally the narcissist they are. The medicine will take you and show you that your parent was just an unloved child.
Yeah.
They didn't know better.
Yeah.
They cannot hug, they cannot kiss, they cannot show affection.
Yeah.
So maybe what they know is to be abusive.
You can't give what you didn't have.
Perfectly said.
So
Perfectly
that's
said.
the way it is. Yeah. So we're jumping a bit
It's
up
okay.
and down. Go back to your experience now.
Well, my experience after the first ceremony, after my healing, I was told I'm ready for classes, and there is a protocol. There are steps. It is not just plant medicine and, you can do what you think is the right thing to do. So the Bwiti, through the teaching from the medicine, they know exactly how to administer medicine
Yes.
in measurements, okay? Depending on the individual, we do a screening before we get into any work with anyone, and the medicine would direct you how to treat that client or that patient. And that for me was an amazing experience to be in classes for, to understand that there are safety measures that you have to take. There are precautions. You have to go through a medical intake with everyone and understand what the medicine can do and what it cannot do.
Okay.
Beyond that, understanding the relationship between Iboga and other medicines.
Mm-hmm.
How it handpicked certain medicines to work with it at different times.
Are you still talking of natural?
Natural.
Yes, we stay all in the natural.
And
yeah.
What I mean by this, I mean plants like banana. There's a good relationship with Iboga. Just at some point.
Okay.
And I started looking at banana trees very differently when I came back.
What's the power of the banana?
Well, it's...
Or the gift?
Well, the gift is that it connects with the medicine in regulating intensity.
Oh, okay. All right.
So that's just one of the examples. Understanding what the soul is, I learned that in one of our classes too. They call it Muwanga Benda Mukukwa Kanza. Your first heartbeat is when your soul starts to exist.
Oh, poetic.
And
very poetic.
I guess the true the truth of, or exact nature of cause of death is when your soul leaves your body. Then there's no life. Now, the Bwiti believe the most important thing in this whole world is Muwanga Benda Mukukwa Kanza, your first heartbeat. Because that allows you to breathe, to walk, to see, to do so many things. Now, so many things could have happened and you might not have had your first heartbeat.
Right.
A miscarriage,
Yes.
or any other trauma.
Yes.
But it didn't happen. And you got your first heartbeat. They believe that's it. No prayer, no miracles, no divine intervention. Because God is giving you everything in that first heartbeat. You got it. It's all there for the taking.
Mm-hmm.
But we mess ourselves up with the wrong things and make things difficult. What I saw in that village is a very small number of a tribe that is so efficient with their environment in the easiest way. They don't like hard things because they know there's an easier way to do it.
Right. Flow.
There's an easy way to make a fire.
In a flow, yeah.
Yeah, there's so many things.
Yeah.
And life gets much more beautiful when we stop lying.
Wow. So, how do you feel if I say to our viewer that whenever you feel uncertain, just connect to your first heartbeat and say, what would my first heartbeat say?
I'll say Basei to that.
Basei?
Basei means truth.
Right. I'm getting some Iboga medicine by association here. Wow. This is so... it's really touching. For me, it's really touching. Yeah.
Thank you.
And yes, okay, so going back to your journey, I don't know if we're gonna... I'm not even looking at time. You went for your training. You learned all these things about traditional medicine. And then you started to have your own experience as a provider straight away, or what?
So, learn about the medicine, the tradition, learned about me. and understanding that I'm a bridge between the medicine and whoever needs healing.
Yes.
And after the training, I had to go through my initiation into the Bwiti trial,
Right.
which was another profound experience on its own. I can't share too much about
I'm
that
sure
process,
you can't.
but
Yeah.
but I got closer to knowing who I am,
That's not a. Yeah. That's
and now I know.
Okay.
Now I know,
Okay.
and it just gave me a much more appreciation of our African traditions, our African culture, how rich we are as a people in Africa. And when I saw the Bwiti guard their knowledge, their medicine, jealously, with love, but with an ability to share some,
Right.
it blew me away.
Uh-huh.
They are not willing to change anything because they see perfection in it.
Right.
Make sense?
Yeah. 1,000 years history and trials and errors. I'm sure they've made
Definitely.
it perfect.
So there's a sense of, of pride that you see, your fellow brothers, your fellow sisters doing it and being well mentally.
Yes.
Gabon doesn't have substance abuse issues,
Oh wow.
and mental health is not a big thing there because everyone is chewing on some medicine all the time.
Okay.
I mean, we get food from plants. We get food from nature. We get our medicine there. And I think, there's a big wave right now of people, considering acting on just doing more plant-based lifestyles.
Yes.
Now the medicine part, I think that's also now another wave where plants are bringing solutions in whatever form for different people. I mean, I respect ayahuasca shamans. I respect other shamans that do other work because I know their medicine does healing in another space.
Yes. Yeah.
Some people had, a misconception that I believe Iboga is everything. I know there are other medicines that work for some ailments, and I also know that Iboga does not work for everybody. And that's the truth.
Yeah, which makes sense because we are all so different.
True.
That okay. So now that you are, well, you have been back now for a while. So you are actually guiding people through this process or part of it? How does it work?
I am an Iboga provider now, and I have healing retreats
Yes.
in Harare and Victoria Falls, and private ones. I guess, sometimes a family would need to go through a healing together.
Oh wow, that's beautiful to bring the family together. Yeah.
And since being back, there's been such an amazing support and response from people that are curious, that want to know more about the medicine, that want to, go through their own healing experiences. And it's been such a beautiful journey because I've encountered many different types of people that need healing in different layers. So for me, it's a great honor, and I'm humbled by it to be in that place where I can serve and carry such a powerful tradition and medicine.
Yeah.
And that's so important for me.
And also, what I like about that is that you can bridge the contemporary. Okay, being completely stepped into the Bwiti tradition, you can bring together contemporary world and tradition. Because I mean, yeah, you don't come from that tradition.
Yes.
You stepped into the
Definitely.
tradition, so you come from a different. I mean, from your original. African, Western, whatever,
African, Western,
world,
yes.
and then you put them together so it's easier for people to relate to you as well.
Definitely. You're
Yeah.
very correct.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's also been my experience, that, you know, they would be a bit, you know, taken aback as to how did I get there? How did I get this tradition or the medicine? But I'm then able to connect with them and translate it in the way that I've always done.
Yes.
So you are right, it does.
It does. And also there is so I mean, at the moment in my practice, I'm having lots of people who are coming in their from late 20s to late 30s, beginning of 40s, or just waking up, becoming a healer in their own right, but they don't know how. And so they are going through this phase where they don't have the tools, but they're seeking, but then they're having vision, they're having channeling, dreams. And, okay, but what do I do with that? So it's almost like the Africa, and especially in the African world, I mean in the Zimbabwean world, Black Zimbabwean world. And it's like, okay, how am I going to embrace this tradition that is coming through me without me, I mean, taking me over, let's put it this way. And I don't know, but then they are scared of going to traditional healers sometimes because, how can I put it, the look, I don't know if it's the right word. I mean,
it's
the appearance, the appearance with the church that's been demonized for the last century and more. So it's very layered. It's very layered and complicated how to navigate these things. So it seems that you have done it beautifully, and you could become a guide for many other people in that sense as well.
I would be of service.
So for today, I think let's see how you viewers are taking this interview by letting comment below, please. And maybe there will be time to have a different interview and getting to know Lewis even more. And I'm gonna leave all his contacts in the description of the video. And please like this video on our Consciousness Rising Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And I think for today, do you want to say anything else for today?
Just to thank you for having me, and it's been such a wonderful chat. I learned so much as well. Thank you.
That's what we want to really, by these exchanges, this is what we would like to pass on to you. So for today, we thank you once again, and we'll see you the next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.